Congressman Mike Kelly joins us from Pennsylvania tonight. Congressman, thank you so much for your time, sir.
Hey, Cam, thank you, and it's good to be with you in the NRA.
Listen, wanted to talk to you about the resolution that you introduced to protect the Second Amendment rights that are in danger with this UN arms trade treaty. You introduced this in the House just a few days ago, and I understand that already, you've got dozens of co-sponsors now.
Yeah, we have over almost 60 now, and I think one of the things that we wanted to drop it as soon as we could because the way this administration works, they use the distraction process to do things. I think we'll have far more co-signers on it as we go forward. But I think we're up to 60 right now. We're 76. I'm sorry, we're at 76 now, including 4 Democrats, by the way.
Well, listen, that's great to hear. And look, our Second Amendment rights. I think you'd agree with this, even as a Republican representative. They're not Republican rights. They're not conservative rights. There are constitutional rights. There are God-given rights, and they're for all law-abiding Americans. We should all be concerned about this.
Yeah, and I think we're in complete agreement on that. I have so many friends now that come to us and say, "Boy, thank you for doing this." And you're right. This is not a political issue. This is an American issue that goes far beyond what parties we belong to, or even our disinterest with political parties, but our tremendous commitment to our founders and our Constitution and our amendment rights.
Absolutely. And so let's talk about this treaty because so few people are. And frankly, a lot of the media that is talking about the arms trade treaty, they're saying things like, oh, gun owners have nothing to be worried about. It's not going to impact their guns. This is all about trying to stop warlords in Africa from kidnapping and recruiting child soldiers. How could you be opposed to that? But that's really not what this arms trade treaty is about, is it?
No, it's not. And you know what? This is, of course, this is the language that they always use. I'm talking about those people that wish to take our guns. This is a gun grab. And what is profoundly missing from this treaty is what it does not protect. It does not protect specifically our right to own and bear arms, to keep and bear arms. There is a missing elements in this. And first of all, the fact that this president and this administration, after walking away from it in July and postponing it, and then would come back just hours after his reelection, go back and say, let's go ahead and move it forward. Let's work on this. Cam, you and I both know that these folks are great at wordsmithing.
Yep.
They're great at using terms like the fog of war, the evolving truth. Oh, you have nothing to worry about. This isn't a grab for your guns. It certainly is. It does not protect. It specifically leaves out language that would protect our rights under our Second Amendment. It doesn't enshrine our amendment rights. And the big thing is, why are we even entering into talks with the United Nations about our gun policies? If we truly have the gold standard, as has been described by Secretary Clinton, if we have the gold standard in the world when it comes to gun policy, why would we be sitting down at the table with such bad actors as Iran and Syria and coming up with an arms trade treaty that only, by the way, we have a history of doing this. We follow the rule of law. Other people do not. They sit back and they look at us and they say, yeah, well, that's fine. The United States will follow it. We'll do whatever we want. Why are we even sitting down with these people at the table? I would say that the American people need to be very leery about this one, and anything that comes out of this administration's mouth is one that you better look at several different times because it's spun so much. The reality of what it is and what it means is never clear to any of us.
Hey, listen, I could not agree with you more, Congressman. Particularly when you look at some of the major arms manufacturers outside of the United States. We're talking about China. We're talking about Russia. We're talking about entities that very clearly don't have America's best interests at heart, and frankly are more than willing to use the United Nations to go after the United States, and go after our interests. So I think you're absolutely right that these bad actors would flagrantly disregard the terms of this treaty. Frankly, just as we see violent criminals in places like Chicago, New York City, Washington, D.C., flagrantly disregard those cities' gun control laws.
Yeah, and that's true. Now, we know, again, these folks use terms that are, while on the surface they look good, they'll talk about international humanitarian law, they'll talk about international human rights, and they'll talk about, this could undermine peace and security throughout the world. They use all these great flowery terms and embellishments that they don't mention the fact that they do not protect what we have already been given by the founders with our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. They purposely walk away from that. They don't specifically protect that, and they try to make it into something that goes far beyond that. And again, are these flights of fantasy by these folks who dabble in all of these wonderful, flowery sentences that mean absolutely nothing, and allow those who do not like us and who want to undermine us to take away our ability to even do arms trades with our friends and allies and through the world. Can you imagine us having our ability to protect our friends and allies because of an agreement with the United Nations that was forged at the table with bad actors who have no intention of ever having a democratic society or human rights or human freedoms and liberties? I mean, to me, it is absolutely unthinkable that this administration would ask them to go ahead and proceed with this treaty and to continue to develop language that would, again, take it away from what it is. It takes away. We are not going to allow this to happen. Our Second Amendment rights, all our amendments in our Constitution, needs to be enshrined by the American people. Say, hands off our Constitution, hands off our Bill of Rights. You go do something somewhere else in the world, but do not take our ability to bear and keep arms, to arm ourselves, to have light weapons. All of this stuff, Cam, is at risk right now. And the people who are telling us don't worry are exactly the people that we would never follow down any path. Their history is bad.
Yeah, Congressman, again, I think you're spot on with everything that you're saying here. I mean, I've been covering this issue for 8 years. I've seen the patience of the international gun control movement. I've heard Rebecca Peters, the former head of IANSA, say that there is no difference in the mind of the global gun control movement between a soldier in the United States, a member of the mob, a child soldier in Africa. Everybody, they believe, needs to be covered under this arms trade treaty. Deer hunters in Arkansas need to be covered under this arms trade treaty, according to these global gun grabbers. And the position at the United Nations, as you point out, Representative, it's antithetical to our right to keep and bear arms. They don't believe that self-defense is a human right. They don't believe that we have a God-given right to keep and bear arms. Their point of view is that a country with a robust right to keep and bear arms, that country is actually violating the human rights of their citizens. It's topsy-turvy. It's completely backwards to what we think about our rights here in this country.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. We have a tendency in this country, and I do not say this in any way to be disrespectful. We have a tremendous belief in people, and we believe that people are inherently good, and that in time they will come to believe the same things we do. And I think that the rest of the world looks at us and says, my goodness, they're so naive. Let's let them stay in their little world and let them continue down that path, and we will continue to take their freedoms and liberties away from them. So someday they'll wake up and they'll be gone, and they'll wonder what happened to them. If we don't see it coming, if we don't understand who the players are in this right now, if we don't understand how this administration has armed itself and put people in position who have a track record of arms control and taking away our Second Amendment rights, and my goodness, if you don't know who the players are, please get the roster and look at it. It is time for us to wake up and defend all that this country believes in, enshrine, as I said before, our Constitution and our Bill of Rights and everything that America stands for. If we continue to allow this to be diluted by bad players around the world, we are going to end up with nothing. We will be relegated to a third world country that is meaningless. Our ideals, our beliefs, our Judeo-Christian beliefs are being attacked on a daily basis. They're being eroded like the sands on the shores by a constant crashing of these waves that pulls out from under us the very pinnings of what made this democracy so great and this republic so great to begin with. It is, Cam, I get so fixed on this. At some point, we have to realize what the founders told us in the very beginning. This form of government that we have was going to take a highly educated electorate who was being very vigilant and diligent about our form of government and our way of life, or it would disappear from the face of the earth. We are facing that right now. We are past the midnight hour, and if it is not for the American citizens rising up now to protect what the founders gave us and what so many have died to protect, we are going to be woefully sorry in the future.
Representative, again, I could not agree with you more. I think we've got, we've seen for years and years the studies that come out and show, more Americans know less about our history. Fewer Americans can identify, places like Texas or France on a map. And you're absolutely right. If we're not involved if we just let this constant wave of information and trivial information and all the little small stories wash over us every day, it is very easy to lose sight of the really important, the really big issues, the issues that don't stay with one news cycle, but go on and on for years and years, that long march and that long arc of history. When we lose sight of that, when we can't see things from that perspective, you're right, our liberties get lost. And frankly, I'm just as concerned as you are. This is why, as a first step anyway, we need to make sure that as many members of Congress as possible sign on to this resolution.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it is the old saying that foretold is forewarned. But what we can continue to do, I mean, honestly, Cam, I think, I look at you guys, and you're the Paul Revere of this age. They are coming to take our guns, and so many of those basic inherent things that we take for granted, that over 1 million have given their lives to protect, are now at risk. And right now, as I said earlier, we are in such a perilous position because of my fear is that things are being taken away because we're not even aware of them. We are looking the other way while things are being stolen right from underneath our nose. And we have to continue this message. We cannot get tired. We cannot get weary. We just have to stay true to who it is we know we are, and true to the God that put us here and put us in this position. We have got to fight every day now to protect our personal freedoms and liberties and this great country's future.
Congressman Mike Kelly from Pennsylvania, thank you so much, sir, for your time tonight, and look forward to talking again very soon.
Thanks so much, Cam, and thanks for what you're doing with the NRA. We sure appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.